Good day. For this session we will be discussing the stages of development and developmental tasks. This is the third lesson under Module 1 entitled Self-Development. The learning competencies for this lesson are: 1. Discuss developmental tasks and challenges being experienced during adolescence. 2. Evaluate one's development through the help of significant people around him or her peers, parents, siblings, friends, teachers, community leaders. 3. Identify ways that help one become a capable and responsible adolescent prepared for adult life. To serve as a guide in the discussion of the lesson, here are the questions that you need to answer as we tackle the lesson. 1. What is human development? What are its major principles? 2. What are the stages of human development and the major developmental tasks in each stage of human development? In the previous lesson, we talked about holistic development. Let us continue our discussion of Module 1 about lesson stages of human development and developmental tasks. To begin, let us define human development. According to Santrock, human development is the pattern of movement or change that begins at conception and continues through the lifespan. The development includes growth and decline. For further understanding of human development, here are the major principles of human development. 1. Development is relatively orderly. The growth and development of man follow certain pattern. An infant learns to sit, crawl, then walk before they can run. According to Piaget, the infant cognitive development is triggered by the senses, then the child thinks symbolically. Elementary learners develop their capacity to think logically about concrete events. Adolescents or young adults begin to think abstractly and reason about hypothetical problems. 2. Development outcomes and rate varies. Since heredity and environment are different for everyone, as a result, there will be individual differences in developmental characteristics and variation in the ages when people will experience events that will influence their development. 3. Development takes place gradually. It takes time for development and growth to happen. More often it takes weeks, months, or years for a person to undergo changes that result in the display of developmental characteristics. 4. Development as a process is complex. Human development is composed of various dimensions. These dimensions are inextricably intertwined. The process of development in one dimension is not isolated from the other processes. 5. Development is lifelong. It does end in adulthood. No developmental stage dominates development. 6. Development is multidimensional. Development occurs in the different dimensions of human development, which include biological, cognitive, social, emotional, and moral dimensions. 7. Development is plastic. Development is possible throughout the lifespan. 8. Development is contextual. Individuals are changing beings in a changing world. 9. Development involves growth, maintenance, and regulation. Growth, maintenance, and regulation are three of human development. The goals of individuals vary among developmental stages. For instance, as individuals reach middle and late adulthood, concern with growth gets into the backstage while maintenance and regulation take the center stage. Let us continue our discussion. We will be tackling now about the stages of human development and developmental tasks in each stage. Human development is gradual and complex. It does not happen instantly. There are certain stages that must be experienced. More so, for every developmental stage, there is an expected developmental task. Robert Havihurst defines the developmental task as one that arises at a certain period in our lives, the successful achievement of which leads to happiness and success with later tasks, while failure leads to unhappiness, social disapproval, and difficulty with later tasks. Identified 8 developmental stages. Here is the description of each developmental stage. Prenatal period, from conception to birth. It involves tremendous growth from a single cell to an organism complete with brain and behavioral capabilities. After union with the sperm, the ovum enters the germinal period, a time of very rapid cell division, which lasts for about 2 weeks. This is followed by the embryonic period of about 6 weeks, during which structural development of the embryo takes place. From the beginning of the 3rd month until birth, the time period is known as the fetal period. During this, the organs, muscles and systems begin to develop and function. Many of the processes that the organism will need in order to survive at birth are being developed at this time: infancy or babyhood, birth to 2 years. A time of extreme dependence on adults. Many psychological activities are just beginning: language, symbolic thought, sensory motor coordination, and social learning. The developmental tasks include but not limited to learning to walk, learning to take solid foods, learning to talk, learning to control the elimination of body wastes, learning to explore the world through the senses. Early childhood or toddlerhood, end of infancy to 5-6 years, are the preschool years. Young children learn to become more self-sufficient and to care for themselves, develop school readiness skills, and spend many hours in play with peers. The most common developmental tasks during this stage are learning sex differences and sexual modesty, acquiring concepts and language to describe social and physical reality, readiness for reading and writing, learning to distinguish right from wrong, and developing a conscience. And late childhood, 6 to 11 years of age, the elementary school years. The fundamental skills of reading, writing, and arithmetic are mastered. The child is formally exposed to the larger world and its culture. Achievement becomes a central theme of the child's world and self-control increases. As such, the following developmental tasks: learning physical skills necessary for ordinary games, building a wholesome attitude toward oneself, learning an appropriate sex role, developing fundamental skills in reading, writing, and calculating, developing fundamental skills necessary for everyday living, developing conscience, morality, and a scale of values, achieving personal independence, developing acceptable attitudes toward society. Adolescence, 10 to 12 years of an age ending up to 18-22 years of age, begins with rapid physical changes, dramatic gains in height and weight, changes in body contour, and the development of sexual characteristics such as enlargement of the breasts, development of pubic and facial hair, and deepening of the voice. Pursuit of independence and identity are prominent. Thought is more logical, abstract, and idealistic. More time is spent outside of the family. Basic developmental tasks during this stage are achieving mature roles with both sexes, achieving a masculine or feminine social role, accepting one's physique, achieving emotional independence of adults, preparing for vocation, preparing for an economic career, acquiring values and an ethical system to guide behavior, desiring and achieving socially responsible behavior. Early adulthood, from late teens or early 20s lasting through the 30s. It is a time of establishing personal and economic independence. Developmental tasks are completing formal education and embarking on an occupation, finding and learning to live with a mate, developing a home and providing for the material and emotional needs of children, finding a congenial social group and participating in civic affairs, developing a basic philosophy of life. Middle adulthood, 40 to 60 years of age. It is a time of expanding personal and social involvement and responsibility, of assisting the next generation in becoming competent and mature individuals and reaching and maintaining satisfaction in a career. Prominent developmental tasks during this stage are taking greater social responsibility, developing a fuller life, and helping one's mate do the same, including adult leisure time activities pursued together, as well as separately establishing a standard of living and building financial security for the remaining years, helping one's teenage children become effective and stable adults, adjusting to aging parents and accepting the physiological changes of middle age. Late adulthood, 60s and above. It is a time for adjustment to decreasing strength and health, life review, retirement, and adjustment to new social roles. Developmental tasks are adjusting to increasing physical limitations, reduced income, the loss of friends or spouse, accepting retirement as a way of life, and finding adequate living arrangements affiliating with one's own age group, and maintaining active interests beyond the self, meeting social and civic obligations within one's ability and circumstances.